Hello and welcome to A Gypsy's Kiss, the book club. I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Stick with us a couple of seconds and we will talk about your What are we talking about?
Stout-Hearted Men.
Thank you. I like your flag thing.
It's Flag Day.
Oh. Out there like a whiplash.
You want to hear a song about a flag?
I do. Sing it.
3 cheers for the red, white, and blue, where a duck could be somebody's mother. Is that how it goes?
It's not how we sang it in the U.S. Army.
Anyway, let's do housekeeping. Thank you to our moderators today, Jimmy Fast, Joe Lewicki, Jason Eunice, and Brian Eagle. Thank you for being in the room, keeping our chat on the straight and narrow and everything moving smoothly and safely.
They would have had a great time last night with the...
Yes, we're always grateful to have you there in our chat room to keep the trolls under control. Today's presentation, which will be Chapter 16, Stout-Hearted Men, will be followed by open Q&A discussing everything that you'd like to talk about from the book and our interpretation thereof, and your interpretation thereof as well. And then we'll have a giveaway. You want to talk about that?
We're going to give away a copy of Aunt Lucy's cookbook. We have another visual treasure hunt search for you. And I'm only going to leave it up for 5 seconds at the end of the show. All right. So
be prepared.
Be prepared.
Like a Boy Scout.
And Lucy's cookbook.
And
Best
or
New
Girl
Mexican
Scout.
Cooking ever. Do me a favor, put that on that side. I'm running out of room over here.
And what are we drinking?
Oh, we're drinking a 2016 Malbec, Argentinian Malbec.
For the red, white, and blue.
Very meaty. For like a better
Meaty?
Beefy, maybe is how I should describe it.
Does it have legs?
This is Don Miguel Gascon. It does have legs. What are we drinking to?
What are we drinking to? Flag Day.
Flag Day.
We love the flag. Hooray.
God bless America.
Very
We
nice.
should not drink Malbecs at lunch.
No? It's more of a dinner wine.
It's more of a big bone-in ribeye and a pile of French fries wine. I'm sure the Argentinians
not
don't quite
turkey
celebrate.
burgers then.
Oh, I like our turkey burgers.
Well, we'll have that instead.
I actually asked Whole Foods yesterday if they had them behind the boulangerie, the butcher's counter.
Yeah.
And they said they have them every once in a while, but not today.
Really?
I was going to get some fresh made,
Oh.
straight from the turkey burgers, as opposed to, and she said the same thing. We have some over there in the frozen.
Yeah, that's easy that way.
Yeah.
I like frozen stuff. You can just pull out and
I
cook it
don't
up.
like frozen stuff.
Well, then it doesn't go bad.
You make it right away.
Well, you
Fresh.
can't make 16 of them right away.
Good point.
There's only 2 people eating.
Okay, so are we going to do a show here, or are we just going to keep talking about
As soon as you're ready.
All right, hang on.
You got the picture in the book?
I do have the picture in the book. It's up next, but I got to...
So this is from The Thrill of the Chase by Forrest Fenn, Chapter 16, Stout-Hearted Men, pages 68 through 71. And there's the picture of Forrest and Donnie Joe.
So my guess is the date, 7 September 1949, might have been the year, it would have been after they had left Yellowstone, and perhaps the date that he entered the military. Is that what we're talking about today?
He's not in the military yet.
Oh, you know what?
This is
He
his
went to
transition point.
Texas A&M.
Yes.
That might be the day of the events at Texas A&M. So I had made a note on this postmark. I'm going to have to go back and look at my notes, and I said outside the pattern, and I can't remember why it's outside the pattern. So I'll have to go back and look at that. But interesting story. Shall we read it? He's very for a young man, he's very dashing in his uniform.
That's all you had to say about the picture?
Yeah.
And that's all I got to say about that. Guess that's
It was
Yellowstone.
the kind. It looks like
Cabin.
he's at about that age. He's with his best friend. They're in front of the cabin,
Grayling Creek.
and they have a big brown trout there that probably Donnie caught.
And a grayling is a...
Grayling is a grayling. Well, there is a kind of fish called a grayling, but there's a river, a creek on the western boundary of Yellowstone called Grayling Creek, and it was one of Fenn's favorite. We have several pictures of Grayling Creek in the book.
You notice he's with Donnie Joe
Yes. Why do you think that is?
because he's a friend and not a family member.
Yeah, that I saw that. That was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about in this chapter today.
We are.
We are.
No, that wasn't a question. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. So this is chapter 16, Stout-Hearted Men, pages 68 to 71. Page 69, paragraph 1. When my Yellowstone summers were over, I was a 19-year-old lank without discipline, focus, or cause. But I knew it was time to get serious about something because my potential was about to burst inside of me.
So Forrest tells us that his Yellowstone summers were over when he was 19. He didn't go back. He grew up and moved on with his life.
So I think we have to qualify that by saying he did go back, right? He has been back to the area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he built the hotel with Skippy and Donnie. We know he's been back to the area when he goes to Cody. So it is very likely that he's been back. I think the distinction in this case is that he was never back for one of those 3-month-long summers where he worked in the various locations and fished and guided and stuff like that. So it sounds like those idyllic summers were now over for him at the age of 19.
I think he never went back as a child either. He went back. If he went back, it was as an adult. And it wasn't, like you said, for a whole summer.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been for business or, a specific reason that wouldn't take him there for that long.
Page 62, paragraph 2.
69.
I'm sorry, page 69, paragraph 2. It was a transitional time for me, and I wasn't taking it all too well. At the last minute, I asked the gang to come by and pick me up so I could go along. I didn't want to go to college. I just wanted to be with my friends.
Fenn cut ties to Yellowstone and his family. He wanted to be with his friends, not at home. He wasn't taking it too well, most likely means he was rebelling and arguing with his family about his future. You've probably either seen that in your own home or in the home of friends. When a young man gets to a certain age, he tends to rebel against his father and the rules and whatever it is father is suggesting that he does, and he ends up wanting out. And that's part of life. That's just how it is. It's how we launch our young out into the world.
So, two interesting things. 1949 was the year I was born. Grew up in Santa Fe. My father died when I was 11. My mother raised me, except that she sent me off to boarding school in Santa Fe at the St. Michael's when I was 12. They effectively were my male role models, and they were tough, I have to admit. And I got a great education. But then I went to the University of New Mexico, and in my senior year, I had made the decision that I didn't want to go back to Santa Fe because although I didn't have that Oedipal conflict with my father.
That's mother and father together.
Yeah. I did have that Oedipal situation with my mother where there was a different kind of conflict. And the conflict was she wanted to rule my life. She wanted me to return to university, go to law school, and then come back to Santa Fe and have a successful career in law. Assuming that I could do that, of course. And that was not something I was interested in. So I did something very similar in that instead of joining the Air Force, I quit school. I quit my senior year in college and went down to the enlistment building on the corner of 5th and Central here in Albuquerque and I signed up for the military for the longest period I could at the time. This was 1969, right in the middle of the Vietnam conflict. And the longest time at that time was 5 years. And so that gave me the opportunity to join the Army Security Agency, which was at a branch of the National Security Agency. I just didn't want to go back to Santa Fe, and I saw this as a way out. So I can relate to him what happens later in his life as a way to get out if college isn't for you. And excuse me. And it wasn't that college wasn't for me; it was that that college wasn't what I wanted at that time, in light of what it was going to do to the rest of my life. You know, forcing me back to Santa Fe in a career that I didn't particularly want. You know. So, page 70, paragraph 3. I loved it beyond description, and suddenly everyone was a friend to be trusted.
He's talking about his trip to Texas A&M. And emotionally and physically cut off from his family, Forrest adopts a new family in the young men that he met at Texas A&M. So I think he was ready to leave his family behind and embrace living and working and studying or whatever it was going to be with men his own age. He was ready for that transition in some ways, and in others he was fighting it.
Give me a second. We're getting some complaints about the stream. I just want to make sure we're healthy. Jason had to refresh it twice. That's okay. Got it. All right. They're back to it. Page 70, paragraph 3. To avoid detection, I ran full speed across an open field, crying all the way, until I reached a small country road that led back to home.
Forrest was crying because he was forced to go back home, where he didn't want to be.
Page 71, paragraph 1. After trying to thumb a ride for a few minutes, I saw an A&M pickup truck make a turn and come my way. When the driver asked me what was going on, I said I was headed home because there was no money for me to stay. Those were magic words, and he could see that I was distraught all over myself. Without comment, he turned his truck around and drove away. I think he was one of the stout-hearted men.
Forrest first tells us that he doesn't want to go to college. He just wants to be with his friends. He tells the truck driver he doesn't have the money to pay for college, and he's very upset about leaving. I imagine Forrest had fought with his father about attending college or getting a job before he left home. Could he have attended college if he'd had better grades in high school or the money to pay for tuition? Probably, but he never liked school anyway. This was just his attempt to run away from home and the choices he didn't want to make. But it didn't work out as he'd hoped, and now he had to slink back to his family in embarrassment. Because not making a choice is still making a choice. Sometimes when you don't make that choice, it doesn't work out well for you.
Page 71, paragraph 2. It was a threshold moment in my life, but I didn't know it at the time. I thought the use of the word threshold was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a word that comes straight out of the hero's journey, where the hero has to meets these threshold points in their lives, and some of them are helpers, some of them are hinderers, but the hero doesn't recognize it as a threshold moment until afterwards, until they've actually survived the moment, whatever it is. But I think it's a critical use of the word here, because I think it's an indication, in my opinion, that Fenn realizes that he's on a journey, a lifelong journey, and this was one of those moments at which he is presented an opportunity to make a decision, and he has to make a right one. Otherwise, it affects the rest of the story.
It's true. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
So the truck driver probably reminded him of his father when he drove away without comment or help, and he must have, through this experience, realized he had to grow up, get a job, and be a man, a stout-hearted man.
Questions to ponder. As embarrassing as this story must have been for Fenn, is it possible he has left out the more embarrassing part, such as fighting with his father and other family members, and behaving childishly by running away from his father's ultimatum? The Fenn family still traveled to Yellowstone, and his sister June eventually moved to the area. What was the reason that this was the last of Fenn's summers spent in Yellowstone, and why did he never choose to move there in later life? What threshold was crossed that only allowed him to leave and not return? A hero's journey.
Mm-hmm. You reach that point where you can only go one way. You go through the door and you can't come back. And if you do come back, it's going to be all different. So it's never the same place that you left.
So guys, I just want to make sure you're okay on your end. I'm looking at the stream and it's had a couple of peaks and bumps, but it doesn't look like it's fallen off on our end. It looks like it's falling off on your end. So I'm going to blame this one on YouTube because we're pumping out at 20 megabaud here. So I'm real happy with. I got to tell you, I'm very happy with the decision that we made to transition away from Comcast and to CenturyLink, because it's been nothing but perfect in terms of transmission. The other thing that I'm sure some of you are aware of, that we upload a lot of videos to YouTube. We do a lot of uploads, and Shelley and I work with a lot of very graphic materials that take a long time to upload traditionally. With this thing, just nothing. My short video uploads are, a 2 to 3 minute video will take 2 to 3 minutes to upload, when before it used to take 3 or 4 times that length of time. So I'm real happy with CenturyLink. I'll probably call them and tell them that tomorrow. Okay, so you want to move on to, let's move on to full screen here, and I'll come back and check it. Full screen with lower third. Let me just check this. You can go ahead and talk.
Talk about what? What are we talking about?
What do you want to talk about? Talk about...
So how did you feel about the possibility that Fenn left out the whole thing about fighting with his family? And I was reading between the lines there, and because that seems like the most traditional thing to do, is to fight with your family, and then you run off, and then things don't work out, so you come back, and then you launch. I think that happens a lot.
I think that does happen a lot. It certainly did in my case. Not because I wanted, not because I think you don't realize those moments are life-changing until afterwards. You know, I go back now and say one of the most important, or one of the most life-changing decisions I made was the decision to change my military, to join the military. And the reason is it effectively changed my life from that point forward. You know, honestly, there would be no Jason Michael Eunice in the chat room had it not been that way. So I think that you don't realize that they are life-changing until afterwards. And then it's good in a way because it gives you the opportunity to put it in context. Because when it's happening, when you're walking from UNM down to 5th Street to join the military, December 10th, 1969, you have no idea what you're doing. You only have an idea of why you're doing it. And why you're doing it, what's really funny is my objective was not to have to return to Santa Fe and live out the life that I believed my mother had planned for me. And all of that was in my head. It was my imagination. And the only solution was to join the military in the middle of the Vietnam conflict. I mean, when you look back at it from that perspective, as you're walking down Central Avenue from the heights up at UNM down into the valley at 5th Street, that was just plain crazy. I mean, that was a really extreme. Instead of going back and having the conversation with my mother and saying to her, I don't want to be an attorney. I want to be a journalist. I want to be a photojournalist. I want a degree in fine arts, etc., etc. Instead of having that conversation, I avoided the conversation and made that decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have never looked on, as I've looked back on it, I've never looked back on it as a bad decision. I looked back on it as a threshold moment in my life that changed my life. Honestly, I believe for the better, right? It had a positive impact on my life, and it had the byproduct of not having me had to go back to Santa Fe, although I have never thought about it in that context. I've never thought about it as, wow, thank God for joining the military because then I didn't have to go to Santa Fe. It's always been, thank God for joining the military because I had experiences and traveled to places and done things that I would never have otherwise done,
Mm-hmm.
even if I had gotten my way about getting a degree in journalism. So.
Okay. So back to Fenn. Do you think this experience pushed him to join the military?
Well, for a young man who, as I say, barely survived high school at the grace of because his father was principal, who didn't have a college education, and who was living in what at that time was the small town of Temple, Texas, you had options that ranged from short order cook to something other than going to college, and the something other than going to college that time was joining the military. And I know that from experience because although several of my uncles did go to college, several of my uncles on my mother's side, instead of going to college, joined the military. Uncle Eddie, Uncle Julian, Uncle Carlos, Uncle Ernie went to college afterwards. Mundi and Carlo, they all joined the military and then went to college. The three that went to college went afterwards. Uncle Albert. But the joining the military at that time set them up for life. They were able to take what military experience they'd acquired and turn it into their lifelong career. Uncle Albert spent his time in the Navy and ended up being a machinist at Los Alamos the rest of his life, making a very good living for he and his family and having a great retirement, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it was a viable option at that time. I don't think, at that threshold moment, he had any sense that he was going to end up flying high-performance fighter aircraft. Flying high-performance fighter aircraft, generally speaking, is a childhood dream that you build into the rest of your life, right? Mm-hmm. He never met it looked like his goal in life was to be a fishing guide.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever imagined that he'd be flying a high-performance fighter aircraft in combat and being successful and having a successful career.
But he was healthy and he had good eyesight,
Yeah.
so he made, the minimum requirements. So at that point, all he had to do was be able to learn how to fly, which he did.
Oh, let me do this real quick, and then I'll get us back to full screen. I just needed to get the next slide in. Well, didn't want to do that either. It's going to look funny in the middle of the...
All right.
Okay, so...
Cha-ching! It's time for that. Okay.
So we're about to go into the chat room with you guys. If you'd like to contribute to our project and help us along a little bit, you can scroll down to the bottom of the chat screen and you'll see a contemporary $sign there. Click on that $sign. That'll enable you to share a little bit of money with us so that we can continue to do our work. Also, we strongly recommend that if you do decide to do that, make sure you have a question for us so that we can answer your question. Okay?
Much like, who was it last week that gave us wine money?
Oh, yeah. Mr. Sadogi.
Ah, yes.
Mr. Sadogi.
Yay, thank you.
Miss Malbec, thank you to you. You
That's
refreshed
right.
our wine kitty. Thank you.
All right. Applause for that.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to full screen so we can go. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Here goes.
All right.
Very active in the chat today. I got to tell a story. So last night we were doing a show with Cynthia Meacham, and we had a couple of trolls come in, but one troll came in, and I can't even say their name. It rhymed with a Gypsy's Kiss, and they seemed really angry about whatever they were. But at some point, they started making threats before our moderators got rid of them. and they started making threats. And one of the threats was that they were going to start their own YouTube channel, and that the result was going to be war. And they said what they were planning to say was, "This is war." Then using the B word, female dog. I'm not going to lose my monetization over this. Using the B word for a female dog, but autocorrect got the best of them. So it came out, and it was all in uppercase. That's what was really funny. It came out, "This is war, Mitchells." I'm going, and for a minute I'm going like,
We're not the Mitchells.
Who are the Mitchells? You got the wrong group of people here. So
Just be looking for Dennis the Menace.
It was kind of a failed attempt at being angry just because autocorrect screwed it up for him. So
that's always funny. Anyway.
It made me laugh. Okay, all yours.
All right, let's say hello to everybody in the room. We have Journeyman from Missouri, where it's 95 degrees and 80% humidity, and hotter this weekend. Woof. Shane McLaughlin. Cindy Guest from Southern Indiana. Robert Walker. DeCall Thomas is here. Brent Znunker from Austin. Tammy Mattis from Central Illinois. Shane says, Journeyman beat me to it. Yes. John Bobbitt's here, and he's still alive. Very good. We're glad.
We're happy to see that you recovered from your
applause for you. Sir Quaidum from 108 degrees. Wow. Is that a direction or a heat index?
We had one of those day before yesterday.
Brian Eagle's here. Hello. Jeep Girl Jody from Colorado. Yay, book club.
Yeah.
William Ortiz.
Amen, Brother Toby. So...
I think that was about the flag, I'm guessing.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. Thanks for the coin, says Brian Eagle.
You're welcome, Brian. I'm glad that we could send it to you. Thanks for doing your job as a moderator. We truly appreciate it. I'm glad that the coin is simply a small token of our expression of gratitude for the work that you're doing here, as do the others.
Holly Purd says, great show last evening, and hi from Maryland. Eric Schmidt says, you missed one hell of an after party.
I'll bet. Yeah, those guys were party animals.
I had to get my homework done for book club.
We had to get ready for today, and I'm 69 years old, and I just wanted to get to bed.
He's not much of a partier.
Yeah.
John, are you? Oh, John Bobbitt. Let's see. Gary Sandberg's from Seattle. And...
Wow.
Shane McLaughlin. One thing that disturbs me is that an email is floating around that Forrest Fenn states nobody will know the real warm waters halt until treasure is found, so it's big guessing game with no confirmation. Always has been.
Yeah, I don't think that has changed. I think his position on the matter has always been you're not going to know that you're right until you actually find the treasure, and I assume that has to mean all of the 9 clues, including what he claims to be the first clue, begin at where warm waters halt. That to me kind of makes perfect sense in the context of what Fenn has said in the past. So I don't know why it's floating around in an email, other than it might be his response to someone. But if you just look at it from the perspective of his other comments, that's the sense you get. The sense you get is it's going to be a great big surprise, basically, that you got to where you got to, and there happened to be a treasure there. You know, the surprise not that you got there, but the surprise that, oh damn, that was the clue. You know, it was a big white streak of granite, or quartz and granite.
Who knows till you get there. Yep. Scott K says, Donnie Joe looks like a 40-year-old man, and I thought so too.
Yeah,
I pointed that out last week, I think.
That's what Shelley said.
Yeah, we looked up his
they're
birth
1 year apart.
Yeah,
he was 29.
He just looks old. He's not really that old.
Yeah, that's exactly what Shelley said.
Okay, we're at the bottom.
DeCall's in the room. Glad to see that you survived the after party last night, DeCall. Well done. Okay, there.
Chat got disconnected for a second there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hopefully we didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Rick Plank's here from Cincinnati. And Jason is here.
Jason Michael, how are you doing?
Shank Golfer. That's a new name. When are you going to give the location of the treasure? As soon as we,
Never.
you want to know where the treasure is? It's where Fenn hid it.
Right.
There. Now
That's
you
where
know.
The treasure is located.
Now
where
you
Fenn
know.
hid it, and the treasure will be found when you find it.
That's right. I guess we can go ahead and just tell everybody John Bobbitt in the room has confirmed he is the John Bobbitt
Wayne Bobbitt
that many of you may recognize from past news stories. And we are happy to have him here as a loyal fan. And, we wish him a speedy recovery from his ulcers and injuries.
that he had when he went to Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only is he a loyal fan, he's a committed searcher. So we would like you to treat him with the respect that you would like in this room. So
Yes.
I'm sure I don't have to say that.
Yes.
So, did you read that from Jason? Where are you?
What's that? Toby would rather travel to exotic locations, meet interesting people, and have them shoot at him than stay in Santa Fe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did. They did shoot at him. Lori James is here. YouTube's having a little issue. I think we're good now, though.
You know how I can tell it's YouTube is because I can look at our stream here and see in the analytics exactly where it dipped off. But it recovered very quickly, it looks like.
So Journeyman says to Jason, we all have hobbies.
Yeah.
We all have our hobbies. Scott K says, does distraught all over myself mean he peed his pants?
That's an interesting way to put it, because when I read it, I thought to myself, that's an interesting way to write that it could be just Fenn using his voice, right? I was distraught all over myself, because that sounds to me like something people would say in Central Texas to describe the act of being distraught. So,
Yeah.
but it could very well.
I doubt very much a 19-year-old healthy male would do that.
Yeah.
He was probably just meant that he was crying and had like dirt on his face and that sort of thing. He was sad. Any thoughts? This is from Eric. Any thoughts to why no money might be magic words? I believe once the man heard those things, then he knew that he was off the hook for helping Forrest, because this kid's not a student and can't even afford to be a student. So I don't need to be here.
Yeah, the magic words were not magic for Fenn. Well, so there's two perspectives on it. One is the one that Shelley just said about the driver. It lets him off the hook. The other is the frustration from Fenn's perspective of having to admit he had no money, with some sense or some expectation that then the man would help him, which is what he would have done. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, when he said he had no money, those were the magic words to Fenn that said, okay, well, I'm never going to let that happen again, right? However my life goes from this point forward, the no money might be the magic words that got him past that particular obstacle and moving towards a solution to the problem. As dramatic, I mentioned that when I joined the military, it was the Vietnam War. When he joined the military, it was the beginning of the Korean conflict, and everybody knew it was going to lead to that at the time. So he knew what he was doing, but he saw it as a way out. And if nothing else, it's not a lot, but if nothing else, the military does put a paycheck in your. Back then, they paid in cash, actually. They put money in your pocket once a month. So I had a sense, A, he knew what he was doing, and B, that moment where the Texas A&M truck drove off, which not only kind of solidified college wasn't for him, right? I could see Fenn going, well, if that's the way you're going to be at college, I don't want to have anything to do with you anyway. So that could be the key to the inflection point, to the threshold point that Fenn experienced in that short period of time.
Let's see.
Did you say hi to Jeep Girl?
I think so.
I missed her. Hi, Jeep Girl, Jody.
Okay.
Showing up?
Shank Golfer just keeps asking where the treasure is,
Okay.
which is good, you know, being very focused on that. Stay focused.
Stay focused.
Keep asking that every time people go down a rabbit hole. I like that. Are you able to talk more? This is Holly. Are you able to talk more about June settling in or near Yellowstone, please? Where and for how long was she there? I don't know anything about this. June.
Here's what I can tell you. I can tell you that June, at some point around this time, married Donnie, the best friend, and that they lived there running, if I remember correctly, and I'm sure Eric can correct me if I'm wrong, running the hotel, the Dude Hotel. And then eventually, after they sold the hotel, I think they moved north into either, was it Butte or what's the other B?
Bozeman.
Bozeman.
Eric Schmidt says.
Okay, yeah. Where they moved to Bozeman, and I think she and Donnie lived there until they passed away. Donnie passed away early, if I remember correctly. It was around.
He must have had some kind of weird aging disease.
Yeah, he was. That
I'm
was
just
around
joking.
1969. I have it in my notes. And then June passed away in 2002. So yeah, they were very close. You know, close enough so that Fenn's sister June married his best friend Donnie. So
Yeah.
all of that as a result of their summers in Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm. Robert Walker says he may now have PTSD from that transition whiplash.
Yeah.
Jason says, like Luke Skywalker leaving Tatooine, I want to come with you to Alderaan. There's nothing for me here now.
Yeah, see, another threshold moment. That's, I'm going to strongly recommend that if you ever get a chance, it's tough reading. Find a book called The Hero's Journey. Or even harder reading is The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Because what was discovered and documented was that every culture that has the ability to tell stories tells the same story of this hero's journey. And if you look at what Fenn has done here in this particular version of his memoir, he's telling his journey. And he has these thresholds, these inflection points where his life changes. And as I said earlier, the hero never knows at that point, as a result of the decision they're making, whether it's always going to be life impacting, but you never know whether it's life impacting in a good way that you have to recover from, or in a bad way that you have to recover from. In either way, the next threshold point is recovery from the last one. So that's how the story goes. We all live that story, even the most what you might think of as the most mundane of lives, you can characterize in the hero's journey. It's a very human trait.
Be the hero of your own story.
There you go.
That means make your own decisions, and don't make a non-decision, because then that becomes a decision that you didn't make but you have to live with anyway. Jason says, riding a small BSA to New Orleans for Mardi Gras on a whim is plain crazy. I guess joining the military wasn't. John,
well, yeah, but I was only 13, so I didn't know what I was doing.
John Bobbitt says, it's almost summertime. Has anyone found the treasure chest yet, or does anybody think that they're close? Sure. We're close.
I was about as...
if the fires would quit
yeah.
keeping us home. And
so we had a recon plan for this weekend, but it turns out that the whole area is going to be thunderstorming, which is actually good.
They need the rain.
Because they need the rain, and B, I think it'll help with the fires that they're experiencing in southwestern Colorado.
Laurie James says, you were the anomaly, Toby. Most guys tried to stay out of the military, like in 1969.
I think that to a certain extent, I was an anomaly. I think everybody that I went to school with, I was my graduating class was 107 at St. Michael's High School. And I would say 90% of those guys went off to college, and 90% of them graduated in various fields and careers. There were only a very few of us that went into the military, and it was because it was a wartime, and everybody knew it was wartime, and everybody knew that if you did join, you were going off to Vietnam. What was really funny about it is that before I went to the Army was actually my last choice. I wanted the Air Force first. they were full. They weren't taking anybody else. The Navy, I didn't particularly want to go into. The Marine Corps guy was out of the office, so the only one left was the Army. That's how I ended up in the Army. It wasn't like I wanted to learn and the caissons go marching along. So. Or whatever it is.
I don't know. You're the one that was in the Army.
I just made up those. I put two songs together.
You're in the Army now. You're not behind a plow. That's the only one I know.
Yeah, that's as good as your flag song there. So.
You'll never get rich.
Yeah.
See, that's a marching song. Right?
That is a marching.
Okay. So Davio wants to know, do we know how much Calazar's eBay stash got up to?
I think it was around 3,300. A little bit more than that. It went up to 3,300, and then it kind of sat there. There wasn't a big burst of financial energy at the end there. Not around 3,300, but I know he has to split part of that with Sasha, because she provided some of the other materials, the books and the map. So there's some split there. He made a video about it. He said he's going to buy a new computer, so he'll look better on our panel sessions.
Paul likes our nice box.
Thank you. That's our treasure box. We use that. We're using that to do to learn how to use our thermal imaging system.
And just to have something to hold that, you know, gives you that future sense of, I found the treasure, I have the box.
Yeah.
It gives you that link.
Well, so here's what's neat about it. When I'm not getting the coins ready to ship one out or something like that, we put them in that box. In addition to that, Shelley, the last time we were at our search area, collected some detritus. Detritus. And we keep that detritus in that box there just kind of as a...
There's little pieces of pine tree and
Yeah.
rocks.
Yeah.
Let's see. Does anybody know who Rex Nye on YouTube? You should check him out. He has a lot of great pictures of the Rocky Mountains. It includes petroglyphs. Rex Nye. Is any relation to Bill Nye?
The science guy. It's his brother. This is Rex Nye, the geology guy.
Oh.
No, I'm just making that
Okay.
up. Where are you?
Brian Eagle. Down there.
Brian. Okay. Yeah, Mitchell. Yeah. This is war, Mitchells. That's going to be whenever I say this is war from now on, it's going to be this is war, Mitchells.
And Jono Jones is here
Hey, Jonah.
from the UK. Kentucky man, Mike Patterson from Kentucky here for the first time.
Thanks
live.
for joining us,
Thank
Mike
you.
Patterson.
Yeah. Here's to Kentucky.
I'll drink to Kentucky. Well, actually, we should be drinking bourbon, right? We're drinking
Oh, dear. Kentucky bourbon.
Oh, Maker's Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad coins aren't higher definition. Okay, scrolling up.
Mm-hmm. Cheers. Hi, everyone from Grass Valley, California.
Davio.
Hey, look, Jason spelled my name right. He's a
Nice.
he's a star.
John Bobbitt. Jason, weren't you supposed to be moderating? Stop with the chat.
He can
Yes.
chat.
Who was he moderating? Did he need to moderate somebody, John Bobbitt?
Cheap Girl Jody, does anyone fear that they have already been there and missed the treasure?
I'm sure there are people that do, because there's enough videos on YouTube showing empty holes when people got to the location that they thought the treasure was, and then making a video saying that somebody has recovered the treasure. We don't. We believe that the treasure is still where Fenn placed it.
No matter where you go, you'll always be there.
That's right.
No matter where you go, there you are.
There you are.
Buckaroo Banzai.
Buckaroo Banzai.
That's right, Eric Schmidt. Buckaroo Banzai. Northern New Mexico in July. My first boots on the ground. Good for you, Kentucky man.
Congratulations. That's a good place to search, we believe.
That's right. And hey, let us know when you're in town. That's the ticket.
So what does it say? Fenn always says,
That all that matters is what people think you are, and this seems to be the exact opposite, a real dose of reality for him on that day.
And that's why, as we read this particular chapter, now you got to remember this precedes the chapter, the biggest chapter in the book, the one that takes up 20% of the book, Memoir for Me. And we do think it's an inflection point, and it was significant enough that it had all these byproduct impacts. You know, not going back to Yellowstone, not ever returning to Yellowstone for any reason. One has to question what happened. What was it about this between the
What's left out?
right? There's something missing in all this. We believe that had a greater impact than just not being able to be with his friends or having the Texas A&M security driver, whoever it was, turn him down for a ride. It's, you know, there's something else here, and we're going to explore some of that in next Tuesday's show.
And
One of the advantages of having a cognitive partner like this one is that some of the things that she sees, I've literally passed over for now 5 years, and it's a completely different take on what we're seeing now.
Jeremy Milstead's here. Rex and I on YouTube. Everybody check that out. Rex and
I think is Forrest Fenn. Check it out for yourselves.
So Eric says Donnie was an alcoholic, I believe. I read somewhere they got a divorce. Donnie died before June.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Donnie definitely died before June. He died a long time before June, I think, like I said. Well,
What was that?
that was my watch.
Jeez, scared me.
Sorry.
That was worse than the transition.
Yeah. So Donnie died in 1996 at the age of 66.
That brings up a whole host of thoughts for me. If Donnie was an alcoholic, he probably started pretty young, and then June married him. And how did Forrest feel about that? Ooh,
Little sister.
yeah, marrying an alcoholic.
Little sister crush.
And he must have known because he was good friends with him.
Yep. Maybe even warned him. And he doesn't talk about her much.
Mm-mm.
You know, that could be very discouraging.
He
when
didn't
your
visit her
little
much
sister-
either that we know of.
It could very much be the disappointment in your little sister marrying somebody that you knew was an alcoholic, and Donnie didn't serve in the service. We'll have to go back and explore that. Sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Certainly an option.
and lost his credibility in the
Mhm.
last chapter.
Yep.
Yeah. And I wonder if that had anything to do with the
Yep.
being an alcoholic and then wanting to go chase down a buffalo and interesting. For those of you who've had alcoholics in your life, I bet you're all going,
That's what it's like.
Uh-huh. Thank you, Eric, for bringing that up.
Ready?
Uh-huh.
Holly? Okay, that's it.
Oh, okay. A Kentucky man has watched every episode multiple times. And runs on his TV screen all day, and his girlfriend's not happy about it. Well, I can imagine that she'd probably be a little tired of it.
Yeah, one of the challenges of being in,
I mean, I get tired when Toby's sitting here watching and rewatching. I'm like, don't we have other things to do?
you know, it's really funny because I'll take this show and I have to process it before it gets out on YouTube. But later on in the evening, I'll turn it, I'll just be watching. I'll be sitting here kind of smiling to myself, and Shelley would say, "What are you watching?" And I'll say, "Our show from this afternoon." And I just think,
You were
honestly,
there. You really need to watch it again?
yeah. So it's just a lot of fun. Let's see.
Alrighty.
I saw something.
Rick
up
Plank says April 18th, 1970 was his day.
here. So he was 4 months after me. Mine was December 10th, 69. So
Interesting.
thank
Did
for
you
your-
also join the Army?
Thank you for your service,
Rick Plank?
Yeah, well, those are dates you don't. They're like your children's birthdays. The day you entered the service is a date you never forget, and the date you ETS, you'll never forget. Somebody had something up here that I didn't mean to do that.
Okay. What are you looking for?
I thought we went by somebody's question. Hang on.
Jeremy Milstead, not too late to get a question in.
No, it's not. Jimmy, if you have one.
Although we are going to go to my show at 2:30 on the softer side. Don't forget to follow us on over there.
Wow. Either I'm going to have to move this desk or I'm going to have to take off this watch.
It's too big.
Yeah.
It's like heavy gravity. And so Gary Sandberg says, how do you think Fenn knows no one has found the treasure chest yet?
I think Fenn is counting on the individual making the announcement, although in this most recent article, by the way, if you haven't read the article, there's a link to it in the description box below. The one done by the Santa Fe reporter in Santa Fe. He makes a comment about the finder not ever announcing that it's been found. So if the finder never announces that it's been found, I don't think Fenn's going to know. I don't, unless the finder does what he asked him to do and sends him back the bracelet, or the finder lets him know anonymously. I think there is a possibility that we may never. I'm with Fenn. Eventually, it will be known that the treasure has been found.
Yeah, too many people are looking for it.
Yeah.
Scouring the internet for it all the time.
Whether or not he knows it is a different question before anyone else does. I think he's stuck with the same problem that we all have, and that is, will the finder reveal that they have found the treasure? I don't think there's anything special about Fenn, where he hid the treasure, or what's there that would indicate to him, other than the finder letting him know. And then the question is all moot after Fenn passes. So he's got to recognize that once he's gone, then it doesn't make any difference anyway. So that's the context that we look at it in. It doesn't make any difference, and he's got to know that it's not going to make any difference. So I believe there is a possibility that we may never know. I don't think it's likely. I think we will eventually know that the treasure has been recovered. By whom? I don't think we'll know. And where it was recovered, I don't think we'll know.
Wayne Shepard says, if you guys ever get to Idaho, look me up. I'm working a lot, so can't really go hunting, but my clues do fit. Well, maybe when you retire, it'll still be there and go get it. Jeep Girl Jody, I'm not sure what she's saying, but what I mean is in the past before we heard of Fenn and the treasure, and I'm not sure what she's referring to. And Joel Lewicki's here. Do you understand what Jeep Girl Jody's talking about?
No, tell me again.
She says, what I mean is in the past before we heard of Fenn and the treasure. And I don't know what she's referring to.
Jody, give us some more insight there. We're not sure what you're relating to.
If you're talking to us or not.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
It could be very well.
Lori James says he didn't like that June took over his pal Donnie, and perhaps they had a row about it or a jealousy thing. I think he was willing to share his friend. I think it was more the he's not good enough for you kind of a thing.
And plus, he was older than June, and you always have a caring opinion of your sister. Now, it may not show up in childhood where you just spend a lot of time fighting with one another, but later on, I know that as an older male, you always care about what happens to your sister. And it hurts even more when you can't do anything about it. And your response to that is, well, if I can't do anything about it, then I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to walk away from it. So I think there may be something there that we're going to have to explore.
Does it bother you that Fenn contradicts himself? Too many of them actually fit into my solve. I don't know what that second part is, but that's from Steve Gahagan. Does it bother you that Fenn contradicts himself? Well, that's just who he is.
Here's what you can count on. There's 9 clues in the poem, and they tell you where the treasure is. And if you just count on that...
He's never swayed from that.
Right. If you just count on that and ignore everything after that, you'll be fine. Otherwise, you get lost in the contradictions.
And Eric agrees. Considering Forrest doesn't drink, he probably didn't like it.
Yeah.
Larry Lamb. 2 men can keep a secret if one of them are dead. Maybe Donnie knew, huh? Joe Fox. Hello from Chicagoland. How many apps did you receive from the questionnaire?
We're up to about 30.
And we're all, anybody's still welcome to
Yeah, if you go back to
do that.
Go back to that episode. There's a link. I haven't published the link since then because it got very active very quick. But if you want to be part of that, It's All About You process and have your interview placed on our channel, just go back to that video and the link to the questionnaire. The questionnaire is still active. So you can go and answer the questions. And then as we go through, we're starting first come, first serve. As a matter of fact, we're talking to our first one this afternoon. We'll be conducting the video recorded interview, and it will be posted tomorrow in lieu of just the facts video.
Michael Bruno, when are you guys going to convert over to Yellowstone and surrounding areas? We're going to talk more about that on Tuesday. So make sure you are here for our live show on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Rick was in the Navy.
Oh, so was Jason. Jason was in the Navy as well.
And my dad. But he wasn't in any wars. It was in between wars.
What does Chris Baxter say? Where are you?
I was reading Larry Lamb, just above Jason
okay,
there.
all right.
Oh, Eric has the link to where it states how Donnie died. I can't post links here.
Right.
You can put that in the comments below for us, Eric, if you like.
And Eric, it'll hold it until I approve it, but go ahead and post it there, and I'll make sure I approve it.
Chris Baxter. Fenn said that June was a liberal and he was a conservative, so that kept them from being close. He also said after she passed that he should have been a better brother. I don't think that Fenn is so hard-nosed that her political opinions would keep them apart. But I do think having an alcoholic husband who was abusive, or if he was,
we don't know for certain.
if he was just if he had fought with Forrest, or Forrest just couldn't be around them in that situation, I think that's more likely. It could be, as you say, but I kind of doubt it, because I don't think Forrest is super hard-nosed about things like that.
And you know what? That was a period, that kind of political polarization wasn't really as prominent then as it is today. That polarization came as a result of the media's behavior and how it affected people. And so I don't, in this most recent article, Fenn asks the writer if she voted for Hillary Clinton, and she says that she did, and she asks him who he voted for, and he said,
Voted against Hillary.
Yeah, I voted against Hillary, but I couldn't vote for Trump, so I voted for Harry Truman. So he wrote in Harry Truman, which honestly is kind of a wasted vote. But so I don't think
that's his right.
I don't think the kind of polarization that would have caused Fenn to say, well, she's a liberal, I'm a conservative, because I don't think. The other thing I don't think about Fenn is I don't think he's strongly anything. In the same way he's not strongly religious, but he is spiritual. I don't think he's strongly political.
Yeah.
I think he's moderate, middle of the road for pretty much everything in his life, whether it's politics, religion, finances. He's not a Wall Street money grubber. He just wants to make enough to keep his family comfortable. So I think he's very middle of the road. You get a sense of that.
Especially after being in Vietnam. You would have to be. Jeep Girl Jody says, my fear is that I will discount a place that could be a good solve because I've already been there in the more distant past, like way before I heard of the chest or Fenn. I see.
Well, then it's time to take out a map and put an X on all those spots and see if you can make the clues work for that area.
Yep. Go through the checklist. Where the heck is Sean Dodson? Good question, John Bobbitt. I think he's probably working.
Over from last night.
He's probably working.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
He does have a job. And Jason says he's watching Fenn Searcher videos to do homework for his show. That's right. He has that weekend update to get ready for. Fenn Treasure Hunter is here. Hello.
Hey, Jason. How are you doing?
Oh, Eric said he's probably hungover.
Oh,
Did you read that, or did you just say it?
No, I think I just said
You
it.
just say it. Great minds think alike here. AGK, sorry. Was supposed to say many of the contradictions actually fit into myself, but I do agree with you on the poem. He wasn't pulling any punches with that.
I think it's great that you do all the corrections while you're reading it.
Steve Gahagan. Yeah. John Bobbitt says, if I find it, you will be the first ones to know. Have a showing with the surgical gloves. Yay, that'll be fun.
That will be fun, John Bobbitt.
Yeah.
We'll even go up there and live stream from there.
Toby can bring all his fun picture-taking equipment.
Yeah.
One contradiction is him saying, sure, kids could have an advantage. Don't ask me to explain that. And then he goes on to list a number of explanations.
I don't see how kids have an advantage. I don't, not necessarily. He did that at Moby Dickens, and I didn't agree with it then.
How many bells is 1 o'clock? Bell time. There is a hint. Okay. Howdy. Sorry I missed the last hour. If that's okay, Jason. You can catch up later.
That's why we have.
And Eric says, you missed out. AGK found the treasure. Keep that up, guys. I like all this positive attitude.
We're just
Great.
announcing that we found it. Thank you. So he was doing a 4-mile division run this morning.
Who?
Fenn Treasure Hunter. A little out of shape. Everybody was fine. Legs a little tired. Yeah, after 4 miles they should be.
Yeah.
Especially at your advanced age. What did Sean say? 68, 69, something like that?
Wow.
No, he's not that old. He's like in his mid-40s.
Oh.
Jonah Jones, like every new searcher, I'm desperate to talk about my solution, but I can't. Hashtag newbie, hashtag founded. 2 months of solid research. Roll on August. Yeah. He's coming out here. Jonah is from the UK, for those guys, for those of you that don't know. And he and his family are spending, I think it's 2 weeks, it may even be more, in what I call a marathon visit to the U.S. that starts in New York City and does a loop back.
Wow.
So, yeah, but it includes some time spent in the treasure search state. So, and he's got a solution, and if I remember correctly, he's got it down to exact geographic coordinates. So beware, everybody. It could be a UK guy that calls you to ask you to help him get it out of the country.
Or calls you. Or calls Joel.
Or calls Joel. That's who I'd call. I'd call Joel Lewicki. So,
at the bottom.
Okay. All right, guys. That's it for chat. We're going to close the chat window, so we won't be able to see everything that you're doing right now. Let me switch over here and give you a new screen. Okay.
Are we there? Okay. So.
Wait. No, we're not there.
Well, then, what am I supposed to talk about?
Sorry. I just need to get rid of the watch. I was just banging it against the...
You should get rid of a watch. You've got about, 12, 15 of them?
24.
And you've got how many wrists? 2?
2.
You're going to wear a watch on each wrist?
Yeah.
Now you got your new bracelet, so you can't wear a watch on that side.
This means war, Mitchells.
And I'll just wave the flag. Da-da-da! So thank you for watching today and being in our chat room, asking wonderful questions and making great comments. And we appreciate you. Thank you. Please be sure to press the like button.
Wait, what language was that?
It's called whinage.
Let's do this in English now.
Please be sure to press the like button right now. and then share with your social media community and subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we go live or put up a new video.
I would do it if I hadn't already. Okay. Okay.
And don't forget to follow us over to www.thesofterside.me right after this show. We'll be there about 2:30. It takes a few minutes to set up for that. And today we're going to be talking about manifesting a more positive future. So if you're looking for the treasure and you want to find it, maybe head on over and we're going to talk about that.
Manifesting your future with the treasure. That's what we're going to be talking about. Okay, so I need to make one more change so we can talk about today's giveaway, and they're going to see it for 5 seconds. All right?
5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Okay, I got my music ready. Are we ready?
Hang on, not yet. Not yet, not yet. I'll tell you what. Okay, so here's the deal. The deal is you post the answer in the comments box below. Now,
not in the chat.
Right, not in the chat. Don't send me an email. It has to be in the comments box below. Now, for those of you that already know this, the comments don't show up until YouTube has gotten part of the way through processing this video, so you're going to have to watch then. New winners only. If you've already won a prize, and by the way, this is for
Aunt Lucy's cookbook.
It's for Aunt Lucy's cookbook. So if you have already won a prize, you can't win this one. Okay. There's a 24-hour time limit. If you haven't solved the problem, hasn't been solved 24 hours from 1 o'clock today. That means 1 o'clock tomorrow. Then it goes back into the prize pool. And then you must be a subscriber to win. We had an individual that answered yesterday's question, but was not a subscriber. We'd like to make sure that our subscribers get these gifts. Okay, so
it's payback for being loyal.
For being loyal.
That's right.
Okay, so you're going to get to see it for 5 seconds, and then we're going to outro. So actually, how do I want to do this? Do your outro.
Ready?
Yeah.
Wait, what outro? You mean the little music thingy?
No. Okay, here. No, you can do your Jeopardy song. Are you ready?
You ready?
Why, but not yet. Yeah. Okay.
We're so well practiced.
1, 2, 3. All right. Got it? Get it? Good. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. And follow us over to the Softer Side in just a few minutes. For A Gypsy's Kiss, the book club, I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. You'll see a new video with our first It's All About You interview on Friday tomorrow, and then we'll see you next Tuesday live. Of course, you'll see our lineup for the week on Monday, which is a video, not a live thing. Okay?
Yep.
Have a great day, you guys.
Bye.
Join us over at the Softer Side. We had fun last time.